Okay, can somebody unmute and tell me if you can see my screen? See my PowerPoint thing.
You're good, and I am also recording.
Super. Okay. Hello, everyone. For those of you who have not met me before, my name is Lady Beatrix de Vazelay. You can also just call me B or Lady B or whatever. I am the regional Chatelaine for the North Oakland region, which is basically the northern half of Ohio. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about demystifying the office of Chatelaine. If you have questions, I will certainly take questions at the end, but if there's something that you're not understanding or you'd like further explanation on while I'm talking, feel free to jump in and we'll tackle it then. A little bit about me first. Again, Lady Beatrix de Vazelay. My modern name is Megan Schwartz. Most people call me B or Lady B. I've been a member of the SCA since about 2010, I think we figured out. My very first introduction to the group, period, was Baron Wars 13, when it was still out at Fort Meigs. And I wasn't quite dressed properly, of course, but the first day I was there, I felt like it was really easy to just jump in and start helping and getting to know people. So that was really great. I've been a Chatelaine in some form or another for almost the entire time I've been in the SCA. I love getting new people excited about the SCA and helping existing members find ways to stay excited and involved. So some of the stuff I'm going to touch on are: who are the officers in the SCA? Why are they here? What do they do? How does it make a difference that they're here? Whoops. What does the Chatelaine do? What Chatelaine positions are there that someone could do work in? What are requirements for being a Chatelaine? What are other possible duties you could have as a Chatelaine? How you can become a Chatelaine if you're interested, and then my contact information and links for more information. So who are the officers in the SCA? Let me move myself out of the way here. Officers are the volunteers who are in charge of keeping everything running. I've listed most of the main ones here with descriptions that I pulled directly from the Mid-Realm website, but there are also some other positions you may hear about here and there that I haven't listed and I won't touch on in this presentation. But if you have questions on something else you hear about, you're always welcome to reach out to me or ask me for more information. I can help point you in the right direction. So our seneschal is like the president of the group. They're the chief administrative officer and legal representative. The exchequer is our treasurer. They track spending and maintain the group bank accounts. The marshal oversees all combat activities. The herald is responsible for furthering activities that add flavor and color to events, such as making announcements, speaking in court, registering arms and names, and much more. Our ministers of arts and sciences encourage the research and recreation of pre-17th century skills, arts, and culture. This often will include coordinating classes as well as A&S displays and competitions. Our youth officer coordinates the activities and information for youth. Our chronicler documents the group history and activities as well as meeting notes, and then sends out our newsletters like Spear Point and things like that. The web minister maintains the group website and other internet technologies, although I will point out that there's a little bit newer officer that sort of falls under web minister. That's our social media officer, and they're in charge of maintaining the social media outlets: Facebook, Instagram, Discord, any of any of that stuff. And a lot of times they'll be working with the web ministers, the seneschals, and even the chatelaines to try to put together a common like public voice for the group. And then the chatelaine is also what we call a newcomer liaison. And what does that mean? So from the Midrealm website, the term chatelaine is a medieval title for the person who supervised the daily function of the cast and kept the keys, like the keys to the castle. The SCA has adopted this title for the officer who's tasked with welcoming newcomers and helping them get involved. Now, in some other groups, the chatelaine might have a little bit different name. I found 2 different spellings of chatelaine depending on whose kingdom or other group website you go to. I usually use the one that has an E at the end. I've seen it without the E. There's also Castellan. I found 2 different spellings of hospitaller or hospitalier. And you may hear the term chamberlain, kind of sounds like chatelaine, but it's a little bit different. They're usually the chief of staff for royalty or the baron and baroness, things like that. So the different chatelaines positions that exist, there's a local or group chatelaine, whether that's at the canton, march, or shire level. And then there's also, there could just be one at the baronial level. We don't necessarily have to have one at each individual group, but it can be helpful at times, especially if, like our barony, the groups are spread kind of far apart. It's a little bit easier to have group chatelaine at each of those smaller levels, as well as the baronial level. And then there are regional chatelaines like myself. In the Middle Kingdom, we have 5 regions. North Oaken, like I said, covers the northern half of Ohio. The South Oaken region covers the southern half of Ohio, as well as into a little bit of West Virginia and not Kentucky, West Virginia, and maybe some of the bottom of Indiana. I'm not sure on that one. Pentamere is all of Michigan. The Midlands is Illinois, and I think a little bit of Iowa. And then Constellation is all the rest of Indiana. There's then one chatelaine at the kingdom level, and there's one at the society level who works with the board of directors and helps coordinate everything for the society as a whole. And then if you're thinking about maybe becoming a chatelaine, but you don't necessarily want to be in charge of a particular group or area, you can be a chatelaine at large, which is just sort of like if a new person is looking for a specific contact to speak to about getting involved, and maybe the group chatelaine isn't there, somebody could say, I would like to be the designated person to talk to new people when they come in. That's a chatelaine at large. Requirements for being a chatelaine, you do have to be a paid member to actually be an officer, and that's true for any of the offices. There are 2 reports during the year that need to be filed. That's May 1st and November 1st. And for the reports, they ask questions about what recruitment or educational activities your group has participated in during the last reporting period, what recruitment activities worked well, what maybe didn't work so well, if you've had any particular issues, whether it's regarding recruitment or anything else as a chatelaine. And then there's always an area where you can ask questions or request help with something that you're dealing with. And then it is important to have a willingness to talk to people, especially people that you don't know yet, and to learn. Being a chatelaine is kind of like being a best resource for if someone has a question. Maybe you don't necessarily know the answer, but you know who to go to find the answer, or where to go, what website to go to, what handbook to go to find the answer that they're looking for. Some other possible duties that chatelaines often handle are coordinating demos. and that can be for recruitment purposes, or it can be to educate the community. We've done demos before where we're just providing information, whether it be, a library is having a medieval history week and they'd like us to just come, beef up the program a little bit by talking to the public, or we could go into a school who's, learning about our specific time period and talk to the kids at the school about it. A lot of groups have what's called Gold Key, and that's loaner garb for the new people, kind of like the loaner gear, the loaner armor that we have for a lot of the people interested in combat. They can kind of try things out without having to dump money in to getting their own attire quite yet. Some groups, Chatelaines, will help coordinate ride shares. So if there's a bunch of people going to an event, it's an hour away, maybe not everybody wants to have to haul that long road trip by themselves. So you get together on carpools. And then you can also hold newcomer classes on things like how to make your own garb, what activities are available for people to do, what to expect when you go to your first event, and then bigger topics like Penzic and Golf Wars. So if all this sounds really interesting and you want to know how you can become a Chatelaine, some ways that you can get involved are helping. Okay, I'm gonna go talk to Dad. I'm in the middle of something. Thank you. Help coordinate demos or other activities. Go to your group Chatelaine, or if there's not a group Chatelaine, maybe the next person up the line, or talk to the Seneschal and say, hey, how can I help coordinate these things? Something that I like to try to impress upon people, and I need to do myself, is to become a deputy to whatever office it is you might be interested in. It's really important for everyone to try to have a deputy. This can be difficult because we only have so many people and so many offices that need to be filled, and trying to get an officer in every position and a deputy in every position can sometimes be difficult depending on the size of the group. But it is a great way to learn what's required of the office and how the office works without necessarily having to take on all of the responsibility quite yet. And then, as mentioned before, if you'd like to be an officer, you do need to have a paid membership. So here's contact information for me. You can always reach me via Facebook Messenger, or I have my kind of personal SCA email address here, and then my official North Oaken Chatelaine email address is here. If you have a question or concern that needs to be addressed to the regional Chatelaine, you can send it there. And as far as some online resources, on the Mid-Realm page, there is a page specifically for Chatelaine. Some resources are there. The Mid-Realm website, when it's working, also has a document library that's divided into different pages for each office. And there's also just a general page where you can find things like event waivers and stuff like that. But there's a lot of good resources there written by a lot of people who have held the position before or are currently holding a Chatelaine position. And it kind of helps you not have to recreate the wheel when you're looking for information on something. And then we do have a middle wiki. If you're not sure what that is, it's just like Wikipedia, but it's just information about the Mid-Realm. And a lot of people will have their own personal page on Middle Wiki like I do. So if you're wondering who someone is, you can go there and find out information about them. There's information about offices and awards and events and all sorts of things related to the Middle Kingdom and the SCA that you can find there. So, whoops, if there are any questions, I am here.
I have a really quick question for you.
Sure.
All right. I know this is an unprecedented time that we're experiencing, but have you thought of, or has it been spoken of, resources for trying to promote and get out there, or to get new members with the current lockdowns and COVID issues?
I'd have to check and see if there have been any specific recommendations, but I think staying active online and always reaching out to people you already know, being able to recruit friends is one of the biggest ways that we get people into the SCA. If you already know somebody in this new organization that you've heard of, you're much more likely to go, okay, maybe I'll come check this out, because then I can just hang out with Artemisia and I don't have to feel like I don't know what's going on and nobody knows who I am and things like that. But I can look into that some more and see what the other recommendations are right now. Let's see, it looks like Shazada has a question. Let's see. Try to recruit a deputy. Oh, great question. So for anybody who can't see the group chat, Shazada said, I've tried to recruit a deputy over the past year on a number of occasions with either posts online or announcing it at meetings. So far, absolutely no luck. Do you have advice for a situation like this? I actually need to jump in and do that myself. My recommendation though, for anything where you're trying to get a volunteer to do something, is think about people you know who you think might be interested or might have at least part of the skill set for what you're looking for, and just start going up to those people and talking to them about it and say, hey, I think you could be really good at doing this. Is this something you might be interested in? And try to go out and tag people to get help, instead of just asking the ether if there's anyone out there who wants to do it. Having someone come up and say, hey, I think you're really good at X, and that would be really awesome if you could use X to help us do this. That gives them a good feeling. It gives them confidence that, hey, maybe I could do that thing. And you'll have a little better chance, I think, of being able to find someone. And if you don't have any ideas, you're like, I have no idea who might be good at this. One of the things you can do, definitely go to your other group officers, say, hey, I really need a deputy. Do you have any ideas of people who might like that? Or, your other friends in the group, things like that. Cool. I hope it works. Good luck. Anyone else about being a Chatelaine, or what a Chatelaine's for, or a question for me as a Chatelaine, like, hey, I'm bored and I don't know what to do.
I got one for you.
Sure.
So should Chatelaines get their background check, and if so, why?
Yes, I was going to put that on the thing. Thank you for mentioning it. I think it is a really good idea to get a background check, and maybe even, I don't know if my other thing is still good, but I actually went and got authorized to spar with youth, even though I maybe am not in a good health condition to go do combat. I can assist with the youth office by helping spar with the youth. And having your background check means you can help with all kinds of youth activities, and you can help with youth information, like when you're running a demo, or if you're at an event and some people stop by, hi, I have kids, what can we do? Having a background check and being more familiar with things like the youth office is really helpful. If you can get the kids interested, the parents are more likely to follow. Highly recommend background check. And that's for like anybody. Just if you even remotely think you might one time want to do stuff with some of the youth, just get your background check. It's easy, it's free, and it's super helpful. It can be super helpful when you might not even expect it. Anybody else?
I have another quick question.
Sure.
When you're following up, like say you go and you promote yourself as a group and get a list of emails of people and you're following up, but you seem to run into a dead end. Do you have any advice as to like how to get people more interactive or to try to introduce them to come to your group and do activities?
So you're saying like following up after a demo, or maybe they've stopped by for their
Correct.
first meeting and you want to get them coming back?
Yes.
Okay. What can sometimes work is on that initial contact form, if you're able to get them to tell you a couple things that you're interested, that they might be interested in, like, hey, that rapier fighting looked like it might be pretty cool. Then make sure when you're contacting them, you're pointing out, hey, we have rapier practice coming up soon, and make sure you're specifically hitting the stuff that they've already mentioned that they're interested in. Also definitely if you're having like a newcomer night where you're teaching, how to make a basic tea tunic, things like that. That's something that can help, especially if you're able to say something like, we have fabric, we have sewing machines, please, if you could come out, we can help you do this. Also, offering the ride share thing would be helpful, because some people, they're like, I'd love to go, but I don't have enough gas, or some people don't have cars, they rely on, mass transit or whatever. Being able to kind of anticipate what the obstacles might be and then be prepared for those so that you can knock them down definitely helps get people out too. Anybody else?
I guess it's a more general question.
Sure.
What are you guys doing right now for trying to recruit? Like, are you guys thinking about starting up challenges, or like in the pandemic time?
Sure. Yeah. I'm going to be super honest. I've been kind of out of things for a while because I'm dealing with my own stuff during the pandemic. So, but I will definitely look into what groups are doing and what things are being recommended so that I can pass that down the line so that all of us can try to keep on keeping on while we're getting through all this. Shazada, if you can hear me. Oh yeah, you can hear me. Do you over in the Cloughlands have anything particular you all are doing to try to keep recruitment going while we're all trying to stay away from people? She's in the chat, so I'm waiting to see what she says.
Can you see her response?
I'm looking. Oh, there you are. She just responded. I'm currently working on an SCA 101 class that will be broadcast via RUM this week. For anyone who doesn't know, that's Royal University of the Mid-Realm. We had a number of newbies showing up right before COVID hit, so I'm hoping it can be helpful. Cool. So there you go. So you got in on the RUM broadcast. Okay, so that sounds like it's maybe more for the people who are already interested, and we're trying to keep them here. Is that right? It's not like Facebook where it tells me when she's typing. Oh, there we go. The class will be Friday at 8. Interested or may have just heard about it, kind of an overview of the SCA and mid-realm specific. Okay, do you have anything that you guys are using to try to still do recruiting during this time? Anything you're trying that's working or not working? We were looking for ways to interact on social media, but there's currently an officer changeover there, so it'll be a new person to work with in that area coming up. So, okay, that is totally understandable. Let me do a quick jump over and see what I can find out while everyone's here.
Oh, and B, I
Yeah.
spoke to Margaret, and she has seen files for Baron Wars 10 dated 2007. So
13 is probably 2010 then.
So I figured she might know.
Yeah, right. Good point.
You know, I was thinking, B, it might be a good idea if we start coming through some of our members that are actually on our pages and groups to reach out to see who hasn't been coming to meetings and maybe see how they're doing and kind of follow up and like, hey, haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually, I heard that from someone I know who used to be involved a lot. He said, you know, if someone were to reach out and let me know that they care that I'm not there, then I might be more willing to come back in. And my thought was, oh, well, I just figured if you weren't coming, then you didn't want to, but I didn't think of it from his side. You know, if he knows that we miss him and we want him to come back, then maybe they can come back. Shazada says, the demo coordinator and I have also been working together to do online demos with libraries in the area. There you go. That's a cool idea. Checking in with local libraries and see if we can coordinate an online activity. That's great. Let me know how that goes. That would be really cool.
So that was definitely an interesting point that person mentioned, that because I'm like, when people drop off from meetings, you don't always know whether you need to check in with them or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, let me see. So I'm looking at.
Well, no, because sometimes just do a general follow-up.
Yeah, just, hey, I know times are hard right now, but we noticed that you haven't been around. Oh, Shazada says we have one meeting coming up next week with Master Millicent doing a calligraphy and illumination demo with a local library via Zoom and Facebook Live. That's really cool. Definitely good with CNI because it's fancy, pretty stuff for people to look at, and that would, I mean, I'm maybe a little biased, but you know, yeah, that would be a cool thing to show people, get them interested.
That is a good point, an idea to do Zooms and offer as online learning opportunities to like libraries and local facilities and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think anybody that might have that capability that we could coordinate with to do some kind of Zoom class or Facebook Live, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know we were supposed to do, 2 demos with the libraries over the summer before the pandemic hit.
Where, who was going to be working on those, Oliver or someone else?
I think Oliver's going to be part of.
One was me.
But the one was the way library reached out to Nate from setting up the Baronial meetings. And then Fatima brought up the other one because it was a
family member.
Family member had their library somewhere near us was looking.
I think I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then
right before the whole COVID broke down, all the activities, the library had reached out to me and be like, "Hey, you seem like you're interested in medieval stuff." Like, nope, not at all.
Don't know what you mean.
We don't do with anything medieval. So yeah, she's like, if we were interested in doing some type of demo at the library for their summer reading program, and yeah.
Yeah, because both of them were looking for the summer reading program, which is going to be sweet because we could basically use the same thing for both.
Yeah. Nate, would you be willing to reach out to your contact there and see if that's something they might still want to do, but online?
I I would, but it being all of my seneschally activity went to Diorsa because he's my deputy and my name's in the hat, so I can't do it.
Right. Okay, well, I mean,
and
But you could ask Diorsa to.
Yeah, I could poke a Diorsa,
or you could do the introductory email.
yeah. Or what were you saying about Oliver not being involved in something?
No, he was going to be involved.
He was going to be involved because, or at least helping us coordinate. And then I believe we were mentioning getting a hold of you, obviously, because you're local.
And regional, but you know.
Right, and everywhere.
But then, you know, before we could even get planning going on, really on either one, then we got locked down. And now it's like, okay, things are opening up. Are they going to do something? Or are they not going to do anything? Yeah, okay. Fatima reach out and find out more on the one for her.
Yeah. What'd you do to the banana, dude? Huh?
The cat walked by the banana hanging up on its little holder and apparently it fell. Hi, you want to be part of the Zoom meeting? Are you going to be like Apollo now?
The kitty butt.
I'm trying to get to the Pale to see if I can look up some of the information that's been sent out, but of course it's on the MedRealm site, so it's being ridiculous. So I will have to get back to everyone on what the current suggestions are, but if anybody has ideas, definitely feel free. You can either just share them to the Facebook page, or if you'd like to reach out to me to ask about it or discuss it. Oliver is our baronial Chatelaine as well. But yeah, trying to at least keep people interested while we're going through all this, if not trying to recruit more while we're here, because I mean at this point we still don't really know how long all this is going to go on, right? So
because I think the marsh is kind of in a holding pattern for recruiting, because I don't know if you heard, we lost our site.
Yeah,
because the plaza where the gym was renting their space,
was
being jerks with the situation and wasn't going to work with them on the rent thing, and they had to close.
That's disappointing. Oh, they completely closed?
They completely closed.
Yeah. Closed down, shut down, sold all their equipment, returned all the money.
So the marsh is in a recruiting holding pattern because we're going to try to get retention to be a thing.
What? Yeah.
We're like, we just got a spite, and stupid Mother Nature.
Yeah, that's understandable. So trying to focus primarily on retention at this point, and then maybe worrying about recruitment a little bit more after that.
Yeah.
Because also I can picture myself as somebody who might be interested and go, oh, all you guys do right now is talk about stuff online. It might be kind of hard to get me in right now.
Yeah.
That's where you got to show them all the rum stuff and stuff.
Truth.
Stuff and stuff.
Because they're doing awesome things.
Stuff and stuff.
I have
Stuff and also things.
Yeah, because I think the idea right now, when we can figure out how to make meetings work, especially for the marsh, is to take over a spot in the park if it's warm enough still, when we can get together in a group. Because this 10 people thing is killing us.
It's tough, yeah. And not only that, but it's like, if you get together with these 10 people, then you're actually getting together with those 10 people and all the 10 people that each of those people have gotten together with. And then
like, unless they increase how many people we can have at a meeting, I'm like, it doesn't pay for us to try to meet right now in Ohio, because we're going to alienate people either that we're trying to bring in or bring back in.
Yeah.
They don't make it to the meeting on time. They're like, well, sorry, you can't be there.
Yeah.
And then
can't do that.
No. Because I'm like, I loved Oliver's idea of volunteer, like, because I have no problem having people over here, but it's like, people like us, and we don't get a lot of people coming when we just do the basic gatherings, no meetings or anything, just get together, because it's like comfort levels. I'm like, we're not going to get that many more people coming for a meeting if we need that. And
yeah,
because people don't like coming to houses.
Yeah. It's hard enough for me to be okay hanging out with my in-laws. I mean, that's tough on its own. So
Yeah, and we've started what we can do, like the people that are comfortable coming over, and we just hang around our fire pit either on a
Mhm.
Friday or Saturday night, because well, it's what we can do right now, and we haven't
Yeah.
done those things as you've noticed because well, we're trying to keep the number small until we can
Yep.
not have to worry about that as much.
Yep.
So I do gotta say there is one thing you have to remember, and that is like 90% of everyone that is involved with the SCA is like hobbits in their own little nature and way. So we do have the benefit that some of us are technically inclined, and to be honest, I'm not minding like the meeting. I get to sit here in like my half PJs pretty much and be like,
Right.
yep. And then I could go take a nap after a meeting. So, I mean,
Right.
it does in a forefront sound kind of shitty that, you know, we don't get to hand meet you and like introduce you to the stuff hardcore at front. But at the same time, like we get all these opportunities with ROM and like all this new stuff that's coming out that we wouldn't even had an opportunity to really get into on top
Sure.
of that to be open for them as well. So I think that could be a good selling point, like learn medieval, understand medieval terms and like how we reenact with each other, sitting in your PJs and enjoying it.
Yeah. Right.
Well, and I think it opens up a whole nother level too for when we are back up and running and are at sites that we recognize there's going to be people that can't come out to meetings. So maybe if we have a class, we can start recording those and having those available so that other people can have access to them. And that too, it's going to possibly, if people are interested in the SCA, they can look at the class and go, that is really cool. I'm going to go check them out in person now too.
Oh,
Yeah. True story.
Margaret found one of the old websites. So Baron Wars 13 was May 7th through the 9th in 2010.
Woo! 2010. Thank you.
Yep. After I asked her, then she had to go hunt and find out for sure. Hopefully that was a positive distraction from whatever she was working on.
Right.
I know that I keep harping on the internet recruiting because
No, it's cool.
I actually looked for SCA years before I bumped into Nate and Charity for
Yeah.
a couple times, and since there wasn't an internet presence,
Yes.
not so much. Because
Yeah.
I don't wander through the neighborhood south of the zoo very often. Just you know,
Right.
by chance running into people. So
Uh,
I don't know. I think they're right that it'll be good going forward to already have an established presence. And
mhm.
Yeah. I mean,
I
this
gotta
is the
say-
time to try to get all that up and going and strong. And sorry, go ahead.
I gotta say, with us announcing on our pages every time that we are having a meeting or something going on, we are still, you know, getting people outside of our area, which I'm happy to see. But you know,
Yeah.
we're also getting people coming that normally do anyway. So like, it's at least keeping consistency for a little bit of that, and that front page is like your face, and a lot of people are on Facebook using that for their main communication. So I think that's essential right there.
Mhm.
I think the pandemic did do one positive thing for us is it's getting us more comfortable with being present, getting the online presence going, which is going to be real helpful going forward because it'll be easier for people to at least stumble across us, if not find us easier, depending on how they're looking.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
I'm loving all the online stuff that is happening. Because I'm like, I have so many classes, I got to go back and spend a Saturday or something on YouTube and just binge.
Right. Yeah. And I will say, like I said, I've kind of been out of things, but now that I know that RUM is coming up this weekend and thinking about being able to do that kind of thing online, I'm definitely going to check that out and see if I can make that happen.
Is that this weekend?
I think that's what maybe, hold on, let me see.
I was thinking it was at the end of the month.
I'd say go to the website, but you can't.
Well, Shazada, can you clarify? You're working on an SEA 101 class that will be broadcast via RUM this week? Or do you mean you're working on it this week and it'll be broadcast via RUM when RUM happens?
Well, there's RUM Community and then there's RUM.
Oh, see, I didn't know
Yep.
that. Okay, gotcha.
Yes, the RUM community, definitely get onto that Facebook page and then find the YouTube channel, because you'll find all the classes that was the ones that have been recorded.
Okay, so RUM has a Zoom thing on Friday. I'm gonna have to look up what you're talking about, because now you got me all interested.
Well, yeah, because they've alternated.
Probably on RUM Community. If you go to, there's a
Yep.
Facebook group called RUM Community that has all the different classes.
Mm,
Yeah, like Nate's been checking out a lot of the martial ones.
yeah.
He's learning from
Now-
fights across the known world.
There is a RUM event that's going to happen at the end of this month, though, too.
Mhm.
That's
Aha.
focusing on officers, like demystifying all the different offices within the.
That's one of the things I've been wanting to do. So that's awesome. That
So you
somebody's
could go
already
on there
done
and offer to teach this class.
it. Sure. I mean,
Well,
now that the hard part is done, the PowerPoint and doing it one time, it'll be easier to
Right.
clean it up and do it some more. You're right.
And we're a good test class for that, because you know us.
Mhm.
Right. And you guys
And-
still like are asking good questions. You're not just like, oh yeah, I know all this stuff. Who cares?
Hey,
You're
I
still
just
asking
found that
good
I am
questions.
better as a Chatelaine when I'm not actually holding the office for some reason.
That's why I said Chatelaine at large, because sometimes that's just better for people, and that's totally awesome.
I just laugh because like I've done so much better with it when I'm not in the office. Because that's how we brought Heather in. We were just that sprint to do a raid one day, and we started talking with people waiting for the raid to start.
How
And
many
well,
years ago was that?
3?
I think it's been 3 years now.
Holy crap!
3 now.
Is
2?
it 2?
2.
Okay, Phaedra, were you trying to say something?
Nope.
Oh.
I was thinking of stuff, and then it's out there.
Bloop. Yeah.
One thing I always try to remember too, just like a bunch of people have pointed out, when they became an actual member of the SCA and started actually coming out to meetings and stuff, is not their first time they went to an SCA event necessarily. It's not their first interaction or the first time they heard about it. So
And
that's why, like, what's that?
Yeah, we won't even talk about my introduction to you guys.
But that's why, like, demos and stuff like that are so important, because even though we may not get that new member, it's getting it in their mindset of, oh, there's this group out there where maybe they may not join, but they might go, when a friend is talking and being like, I really like this medieval stuff, they're like, oh, did you look up this group? It's
Right.
awesome. And
Yeah.
then they give us word of mouth.
Mm-hmm. And there's a number floating around out there. You know, studies have been done. You have to, when you're trying to recruit people, they have to hear about your group something like 5 times before they're like, you know, I am gonna go check that out. That sounds
I
about
think
right.
I looked back and I think it was Baron Wars like 5 or something like that. Like the first or second one at the fort. I don't know. It was something crazy like that I actually went to. But I don't consider that my first SCA event because it was years later that I looked it up. And actually,
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Baron Wars was my first one.
Mine too.
I got to run Troll.
What?
Yep.
Oh, hey, I had an idea for you. As I was looking around finding the different names for Chatelaine that the different kingdoms and everybody uses,
Yeah.
I found a nicer name for the people who work Troll, Constable.
Ooh.
You have
Yeah.
to check in with the constable before you go into the event. Because I try not to say troll, I try to say gate.
It's
You know,
hard.
so-
I've gotten better over the past few years, but it's still Troll.
yeah.
I try to make sure I'm talking to actual, like, not old time people, but more
People
the
have been around forever.
the
Well,
terminology.
Penza calls it troll too. So you get
Now,
that.
one thing with
Who does?
constable is some
Penzak.
areas use that for security.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
But no, it's like I Yeah, because I inadvertently ran troll because that was the weekend that Walmart was opening the super Walmart here in BG.
Mm-hmm.
So Margaret and Isba couldn't be at Baron Wars because of that. And that was like the month before I moved to the area, and Phil's like, was plotting knowing that his wife was not going to be able to be there. And he's just like, you're good with money, right?
I guess.
Why? No reason.
Should I say yes to this?
I knew I was screwed either way. But so I'm like, I get there and then I'm like, okay, so you need to do this, this, and this. All right. And then, well, you know, Baron Wars in May. It was cold. It was wet. My coffee started off coffee and then had alcohol by the time I got to gate. I mean, and then it was clear at one point. We made a profit though. I was happy. I did not know how much money I was dealing with until I was sober, like 2 days later.
All right, I think I'm gonna stop recording now. If we're all good, questions all good. All right.
No, I'm kidding.
No questions for you.
No, it was just a weird.